Welcome to the Greatness Together podcast. Curious minds unite. Mother-daughter conversations that delve into the heart of psychology. Thanks for joining us. We're visually recording again. Oh my gosh. And we had a big debate. Does mom wear glasses or not wear glasses? Because if anyone is just listening to this, you are missing a huge glasses experiment. I'm going to try it again.
Gucci.
Off. Tiny eyes. Huge bug eyes.
What was that?
Half on or off. Crooked. Okay, let's see. Or Simone Kumar. You suit literally everything and anything.
These are even big for me. Oh my God, they're like straining my eyes.
Well, that's because they're an actual prescription. Young woman who doesn't need a prescription for your glasses because they're cute.
You know, I do book like 3 eye doctor appointments a year, just in the hopes that I'm able to get glasses because I love glasses so much. But
And do you know what I wanted for Christmas? Laser eye surgery.
oh,
This is how different we are in the generations.
guys, you'll always compare yourself to others and you'll always want other stuff, but that other stuff other people will want, and then other people will want that, and then it's not enough, and then and then the Trello podcast, and then the folder link, and does smiling do a body good?
Wow. That was quite an alternate
Yeah.
stream of consciousness. And at the beginning of it, deep insight.
Thought I'd get that off my mind or get that off my chest.
Yeah. Wow. So, you know what? It's actually quite good that we're doing this beautiful little podcast situation here, because we were supposed to be interviewing an amazing mother-daughter pair. The first time ever we're going to interview together guests. And very sadly, it didn't work out. They weren't able to join us. And so what did we turn this podcast into an episode about?
Disappointment?
Disappointment. I mean, we're a little disappointed. It's going to be fine. We're going to do this with them later in January, maybe February, definitely sometime in 2025.
But we're not like mucho mad, guys. If you're listening right now,
We're
not
not.
we're like not like mucho mad.
We're not mad.
We're not mucho mad.
We're not mucho mad.
No, we're not mucho mad. It's okay. It happens.
We were temporarily sad, temporarily disappointed. And these things happen. Like, I didn't even think until about, I don't know, half an hour before we were supposed to start this podcast to confirm.
I didn't even know it was today.
It's our podcast. So
you told me it was like an hour ago. You told me it was in an hour. And luckily I didn't have any plans.
Well, you did accept it in the
Google. I'm not like you. I don't live every day through my Google Calendar. I get up and what happens, happens.
Well, I'm very sorry that you're not like me, is I guess the most important thing I want to say to you right now. Maybe one day you will have bad eyesight like me and a very full Google Calendar.
Oh God.
Dare to dream. Dare to dream.
When did you get glasses? What age?
21.
Oh, okay.
So your time is coming.
I was in
grad school and I couldn't see a thing all of a sudden. I'm like, oh my gosh, why is everything looking so blurry? Am I crying? Well, probably I was crying. It was grad school after all. But no, it was just my distance glasses were required. Yeah, and shook myself off to lens crafters.
Ooh.
And I spent probably the equivalent of tuition on the cutest pair of glasses. And have been stuck with them ever since. Now I have to wear them for both distance and reading. So that's why you couldn't see anything at all. But as I say,
it explains it.
As I say, because we are very resourceful young women, both of us being young. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
Right.
I'm young.
I'm
in
old.
Relative terms.
I'm old.
It's all
My soul is old.
You have a mature soul of a 96-year-old.
Thank you.
But we were going to talk about disappointment, and this is actually something I'm sadly very familiar with, because as somebody who has high expectations and juggles a lot, it's quite easy for me to get disappointed. And it's not just about other people. It's not just about quality work. It's not just about tasks. It's not just about my calendar. It's often about myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
the moral of this whole podcast will be
Will be.
that disappointment and the emotions that revolve around it, they have a time and day.
They do.
They have a time and day,
They do.
and we will guide you through said time and day. But I
Start with me. I might need this lesson from you about
Yeah.
the time and day.
So I was talking to my friend the other day
Mhm.
about like her grieving in life.
Not grieving as in lost a loved one, but being, or she was grieving.
Lost a loved one in partner form.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
but she's
Oh.
better off. Let's be
Oh,
real.
you're not grieving. She
No.
is, but you're not.
I'm partying.
Okay.
And she was like, "Oh my God, I'm like, I loved him, blah, 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 all this stuff." Over here, I'm like cringing, but I didn't tell her that.
Good. For you. Way to hold it back.
And she's like, I'll never get over him, blah, 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 like all these things in the future. And I'm like, it made me think, like, how long are you supposed to like grieve for? How long? Like, what's the word? Yeah, we were saying like disappointment. How long should said disappointment last? Which made me think here. And do you have a
Yeah.
term?
I actually have, this is the one that I go to. You've heard me talk about this book before. Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart. She does such a beautiful job of putting words to try to help me understand, or she didn't write it just for me. Let's face it. There's a few other people that maybe own this book, a few 100,000
Just
people.
your mouth.
But I like to say that she did it for me, because this is kind of like my Bible. If I'm having a really rough day and I don't quite know what's happening for me, I don't like it to just be this emotional runaway train. I want to put a word to it, because what gets named gets claimed.
Oh.
So if I name it, I can claim it. And if I claim it, I can own it. And if I own it, then I can do something about it. So I turned it into this reactive, I am a victim of this experience, to, so now that I understand what I'm experiencing, what do I want to do with that?
I think sale prices are gonna go up, or sale
Viewership?
just
What's that?
buyers.
Oh, for this book.
Yeah.
For this book.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
After said that speech.
Endorsement?
Yeah.
That endorsement?
Yeah.
Yes. So disappointment and regret can change from mild discomfort right through to deep hurt. And that's kind of, I think, what you're talking about with your friend. She was very, very deeply hurt by her lack of the partner situation that you were quite happy about. She was saying, in my experience as a researcher and a human being, we underestimate both in terms of the disconnection and the pain that they cause within us and in our relationship. Thankfully, there are tools and practices that can help us better understand what's behind these experiences and how to better set ourselves up for less hurt when possible. So here's the definition of disappointment. Tell me if this is not, in a nutshell, why we would experience this throughout our life. Disappointment is unmet expectations. The more significant the expectations, the more significant the disappointment. Your friend, let's talk about your friend. She probably was deeply into that relationship. She didn't really care about it. She thought it wasn't going to last. If she didn't really put in much effort, she probably wouldn't feel too disappointed. She wouldn't feel very hurt. But I bet she was pretty full on in this experience. Maybe she was a little surprised. And even if she wasn't surprised, she might have still been very, very disappointed, because she maybe was hoping that things would get better. Same with like in the middle of a workday. Why may experience disappointment really strongly is because I had such deep expectations for it. Here's an example. I have worked really hard to procure some amazing, very, very big contracts, like big, and I don't want to call it a contract. I want to call it clients because I deeply care about this work. And one of them fortunately ended up coming to fruition, and I have the absolute extreme privilege of doing it. However, it took months for that of the back and forth, and then sometimes the no back and the no forth. I was like, it's not into me. But then it ended up working out, and I'm so grateful. And the other one, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. However, when we were in that phase of nothing happening with those, and so much time, energy, passion, and even just seeing myself with those clients doing that work, creating this kind of cultural transformation, I could just see it. I was already in the movie, halfway through the project. People were like, this is the best thing that's ever happened for our organization and our customers. I had not even had a meeting with all the people yet. I could see it all happening. Not because I have delusions of grandeur. It's not because of an ego. I genuinely could see like, oh, I've seen this works before. I've done it. I got the research. This is amazing. You guys get it. You're an incredible company. You're perfectly positioned at this time in history. This is totally related to the trends. But that's not necessarily convenient with people's procurement process, which is how companies decide on the contract or the vendor that they're going to work with. It may not, work out in terms of other people seeing my vision. Sometimes what happens in my head doesn't always come out of my face or in my heads and run through my fingers. I sometimes have a hard time explaining it in that robust way. Yeah. So I feel disappointed when those best ideals don't happen. And yet I think I just described it in a way that's kind of hard to necessarily be a slam dunk every time.
I'm disappointed hearing this. I mean,
Oh my gosh,
I'm
this is
disappointed in you.
I thought you meant you were disappointed
Oh,
for me, like
yeah.
sad for me, like you were in this deep state of empathy.
Mm, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
What?
I mean, you did put a lot of work into it and stuff, and you did build connections with almost everybody, just
Almost.
not all the smaller people.
All the smaller people, all the smaller people, all the small. I feel like, did you just hear Beyonce's song too when you said that, or did that just come into my head?
I thought of Small World at Disneyland.
Oh, the small people after all.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Why do we not play musical instruments? Really? We could be rocking it out midway through this podcast.
The chimes.
The chimes. Let's pick up the chimes
Mhm.
or the pan flute. Go on.
Or what's that Australian? Ooh.
Oh, a dapply do,
Diggory
diggory do. Let's pick up the diggory do. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what my point was,
What was your point?
my point was
Your
that
point? Your point?
you could go through all these things, you could
Mhm.
have all the disappointment in the world,
Mhm.
but how long you grieve over it and how you process it is very important.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you were disappointed,
Mhm.
or I mean, I think you're working with them at
Yeah, now one of them I am. I'm like leaving to be with them in 2 days for a week. Yeah.
At the time, you were disappointed.
Yes.
But like some people, when they're in that situation, would grieve over it for 8 months, would get up every day, say, wow, look at what I lost out on. I'm so disappointed in myself. This is terrible, blah, blah, blah. But others are like, oh, there's a time and day. Like yes, what happened happened, time to move on. And so, I don't know, maybe in the next 2 days they're back to life and everything. Like
Mhm.
even my friend, like, yes, it was a terrible situation, but you can't change the past. All you can do is change the future. Why spend all this time wasting just grieving over stuff, just like repeating situations in your mind, just
Mhm.
thinking of all these terrible things that you have zero control over? What you have control over is how you're going to change the future and how you're going to make better, maybe improve mistakes and
Yes.
stuff, like
So true.
I'm sorry you like you hit your shin on the couch, but it doesn't have to ruin your mood for 8 more days.
Mm.
Maybe let it ruin your mood for 8 minutes, give it a little rub, some Voltaren, and keep going. Like it's like some things just aren't that big and you don't have to make such a big deal out of them
Mm.
because like you're putting yourself in this melancholic situation that
Yeah.
it's like it's super unnecessary.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I'm trying to get at here?
Yes.
Like, there's a time and day, but the time and day doesn't have to last for as long that you're making it last. And
Mm.
I was just randomly started thinking super deeply about this when I was talking to my friend, and I was like, damn, people need to hear this.
Mm.
Like I think we've all been in this same situation, like where we go through something and we just let it completely take us over
Mhm.
for an uncanny amount of time, but you're like, oh, I deserve to grieve. Yes, you deserve to grieve, but you don't have to like you don't have to let yourself deteriorate
Mm.
over said thing.
Mhm.
Look at what you might have done wrong or maybe what they did wrong. And like if they were the bad person of it, how are you going to avoid that type of person in the future? If you made the mistake, how are you going to avoid that mistake in the future? And how are you going to
Mhm.
process it right now? Like some things are super controllable that people aren't even aware of,
Mhm.
and some things just don't deserve as much time as you're giving them to grieve over,
Mm.
to be
Mm.
disappointed over.
Yeah. I'm hearing the dimension of time. I'm also hearing the dimension of depth. How much of yourself, your energy, your emotional, currency, your social currency, your cognitive real estate are you willing to give it? And because the more you give it, and in that deflated, non-activated state, the less you are going to get into an action orientation of, let's say, doing something positive for yourself. From in my case, it might be shifting to try to win the next client, or to reach out to this client in another way, or to write an article, or to work on a speech, or to write a book, or to spend time with my daughter doing a beautiful podcast episode about it. So that, I think that that's one thing that I'm hearing, in addition to the time, how long do you give it, is also how deeply do you truly need to experience it. You give the example of kicking your shin, and absolutely, like, we have an actual reaction, like is it our sympathetic nervous system, that the fight or flight part that goes, damn, that's a problem.
I
But
think
that's
that's more
immediate.
in stress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't, anyway, like we have a biological reaction to pain.
Yeah.
So your body registers pain, and it doesn't go, oh, come on, that's just a shin. You just
Mm-hmm.
banged your knee. No, it's an automatic default, fast forwarded, short current, electric current to the brain, through the brain, to go, ouch. And then our frontal lobe gets involved and goes, it's not that big a deal. For some people, or in some situations, such as when you're tired, when you're stressed, let's say you're experiencing other pain, then you might not be like, ah, no big deal. Or maybe you're kind of like in a victim mode, like, see, it happened to me again.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're like, who moved that here? Everybody's moving stuff. Why does everybody move stuff around here? And then you're like sitting in that victim place. So how much energy do you want to give it? And how is it serving you by having an extended period of time and a depth of attachment to that thing that you're disappointed in or that you're grieving on? Grieving, not big G grieving, I mean, like you're to your point around like grieving in the form of kind of more disappointment.
Yeah.
So it's like if it's disproportionate to the situation and the reaction is disproportionate to what would be reasonable that you would expect with somebody else, reasonable in another situation, maybe we have to ask the question, how is it serving you to be holding on to the disappointment? Boom, I'm dropping my own mic.
Wow.
I'm just going to fully own, I think that was incredibly insightful. I'm just going to own it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we went into this saying, yeah, maybe we might talk about this. Let's wing it. And then we went on to do a TED Talk.
It's probably going to be a book,
Probably gonna be
a series.
yeah. Give us the Nobel Peace Prize right now.
Right now.
Get out of Sweden, come to Canada.
Can't come to, oh, the Nobel Peace Prize in Sweden?
Well, all the Swedish people win the Nobel Peace
do they?
Prizes.
Yeah, come on.
Get some diversity in. Let's
Hello,
go.
Canadian.
We have
That's where it's
IKEA.
at. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
So what is the most important thing, Simone, that you're pulling from our conversation today? What's a reinforcement or an aha that is meaningful to you?
I want glasses.
Well, I think you knew that coming in. You knew that coming in. That was a known
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think that don't let your disappointments own you and take you over and deplete you. Like, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Like break you down. Give it the time it needs and don't overdo it. You know, you could like a good bed rot is nice, but not
Explain bed rot for the elderly people like me.
I love bed rotting. It's just like sinking into your bed all day. Okay, I don't love a good bed rot. I love like in increments, you know, but not
when you
all
had
day.
like a really intense like chunk of time. I think that's what you're saying. Like when after a huge long study month, after your final exam, you're like, just let me get horizontal in bed and watch Netflix.
Even like that, looking at your like taking exams into an example. Yeah, maybe I didn't think I did amazing in my exam that I did a week ago. That doesn't mean I have to wake up every morning thinking about that exam.
Right.
And being like, oh God, I don't think I did well. I'm gonna go back to bed for 3 hours. Like it's give it its time and day. I don't know, sit on it for like 20 minutes on the ride home back from your exam. But it's done now. You can't do anything about it. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy on things that you can't control and things that are just irrelevant and not good for you.
Yeah. Love it. Love that so much. Here's my big takeaway. And it was upon reflection of your friend leaning on you. And that is the importance of when you're experiencing disappointment, find somebody or decide which somebody in your life you trust to both hold space for you and also be honest with you so that they can help you. So for your friend, you were listening and you're being there for her. And also you probably supported her, or you would over time if she didn't seem to be, as you were saying, like just moving forward with things, right? You need to have people who can hold space for your disappointment, your pain, your, moments of grieving through these disappointments, and also who can counterbalance and encourage you to not stay stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think, really important, because sometimes we feel like we need to do it all alone and that we need to shoulder these things ourselves, or we feel like we're foolish, like we shouldn't feel a certain way. But emotions are feelings are the reaction of emotions, and emotions are the physiological response to, discomfort of some kind. So, so I think when you're feeling something, expressing it, owning it, talking about it, and then having somebody help you process it so that you can move past it. But you don't need to, and here's probably something we'll do in a future episode. Choose who that person is with intention, because not everybody deserves and has earned the right to have a window into your emotional landscape. And not everybody is going to be helpful for you moving on. They may get you stuck or pull you deeper and darker into this because it suits their agenda. That's all about gossip, my friend. It's one of the dimensions. I know. Oh, that's going to be a juicy episode. What do you think?
I'm scared.
Don't let people pull you into the depths.
Never.
You're disappointed and they're disappointed. They may just pull you right into their drama. And you don't even see it coming.
Oh.
Yeah.
Would hope not.
No. Well, thanks, Simone. I'm glad we were able to do this scrumptious episode, and I'm really looking forward to booking this episode. Everyone, listeners, get super excited for. We have a few. We don't do very many guest interviews and podcasts because we just love these conversations with you and I, and often they are impromptu in the barn on a weekend in the evening. I mean, you and I are both wearing yoga pants, so we didn't get dressed up for the occasion, but we have coming up an interview with the woman who wrote the book that got me to have the kind of clarity to make big moves, to decide to leave my job and start my own business, and our whole family to move. Dr. Margie Worrell has a brand new book. I don't know which number this is. It's probably 10 by now. She's amazing. Beautiful, dynamic, kind, lovely. And I can't wait for you to meet her. So that's coming.
It's exciting.
And then Jennifer and Olivia, who is the mom-daughter, they are going to be on the podcast. And you guys will be interviewing us about burnout and managing being a high-performing professional. And I can't wait to hear all the questions you guys have come up with.
I can name at least half of one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That much planning already?
Yeah.
Damn.
Get ready for this 3-hour second long episode.
Our second one. Maybe we should have people listening to this podcast share what questions they would want you guys to ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Send us y'all's questions.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Guess
what, Simone?
Chicken butt.
I love you.
Oh, I love you, mother.
All right, everybody. See you on the next Greatness Together podcast. Bye. Thanks so much for joining us for the Greatness Together podcast. Never miss an episode. Subscribe wherever you catch your podcasts. Yours in greatness, Simone and Sarah.